Hey Internet, I'm back to ramble about video games and video game adjacent things. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so first, sorry, corona cough. Yeah, okay, good. So first off, Frontier, the company behind Planet Coaster, Jurassic World Evolution, and most recently Planet Zoo, have announced the second DLC pack, which is going to be South American animals, specifically llamas, red-eyed tree frogs, jaguars, giant anteaters, and capuchin monkeys. Additionally, there will be an extra like 250 different pieces you can use to design temples and buildings and whatever the heck you want. And honestly, I think this is awesome, but a lot of people have been complaining for some reason, saying that it's a shame the pack only has 4 animals, but I'm pretty sure that's just because those people, A, don't know how to count, and B, are stupid. Because no, this sounds like an awesome pack. Jaguars on their own is probably worth the money for the pack, because that's pretty awesome. But yeah, the whole thing sounds cool, and in addition to that, we're getting a free update for the game that's going to improve the pathing system. It's going to allow you to decrease the radius in which staff buildings are annoying to visitors in your zoo. Hold on. Okay, it was just some D&D books falling over randomly because I have ghosts. But no, that'll also improve the feeding of your animals, because zookeepers are kind of retarded in the game as it stands right now. And most importantly, it will take all the research you have in your franchise zoos and share them across all your other franchise zoos, which is a pretty big deal, because that's the whole point of having a franchise, is being able to share resources between them, and now you can. So yay. And for those of you that don't play Planet Zoo and don't know what I'm talking about, I guess you don't know what I'm talking about. Really, I can't do anything to help you. Go play the game. I don't know. In other news, the studio Way Forward came out with some announcements recently. Firstly, a game, and this is the weirdest name for a game, Cat Girl Without Salad is out now on the Switch, and despite having an absolutely ridiculous name, the game actually looks really fun. Unfortunately, currently, the game is only a digital release, so while you can go download it right now, there's not a physical copy to buy. But I reached out to Way Forward on Twitter because, man, Twitter makes it easy to get a hold of people, and asked if there was going to be a physical release specifically with limited run games, because they've done a lot of other stuff together. And they didn't say, yes, there's something right now, but they also didn't say no, so maybe there's a chance, and here's hoping. Additionally, on the topic of them working with limited run games, their second announcement was that the latest Shantae game, Shantae, however you want to say, I don't know how to pronounce, but the little witch lady with the hair and the dances, there's a new game in that, Shantae and the Seven Sins, I believe it's called. Nope, it's not. 7 Sirens. I just checked. It's my phone. I'm reading from the script. It's all written down. But that game, which was originally just a mobile game, is being ported to PCs and consoles, and they are partnered with Limited Run Games to do a physical edition, both just a regular game in a case, nothing came with them, and also a collector's edition. So if you like physical stuff like me, then awesome, grab that game, I certainly will be. And if you don't care either way, then get the other game too, because it looks really fun. And the next thing is actually a board game, not a video game, technically. But it's Frosthaven, which is the sequel to the overly complicated and overly expensive Gloomhaven. And while I say overly complicated and overly expensive, don't let that sound like a criticism, because I bought it, so I mean I can't complain that much. But it's a very it's basically D&D in a box, but with less pens and paper and more just stuff. Like an endless amount of stuff is in this box. But it's very frequently praised as one of the best board games out there, assuming you have time to dedicate to it. I personally have not yet, because all of my friends are pretty much imaginary, so I haven't yet found someone that's both tangible and willing to spend an entire long weekend learning, setting up, and then playing this game. But if you have people in your life that are willing to waste time with you to play board games, then you should get Gloomhaven. Or more importantly, the topic we're talking about, I think, Frosthaven, which is a new game and a successor to Gloomhaven, and it's actually available now on Kickstarter. And if you back it, you can get the game for $100. And let me tell you from experience that Gloomhaven here goes for like double that, and Frosthaven will most likely do the same when it's not sold out, because that's another issue with this game. So if you have the chance now to get it for $100, granted I know a lot of people don't always have the chance right at this particular moment to have extra income, but if you do, get the game. It'll be cool. I'll link to it in the comments as well as everything else that I talk about. Okay, back to video games. Next with the announcement that Mega Dimension Neptunia 7, or maybe it's just VII, who really knows? But that's coming out for the Switch. Now if you've watched my channel for a while, A, thank you, and B, I did cover a few of the Neptunia games a while back, and they're insane.
No more hesitation! Only determination remains!
Wow, Uni! Where'd your boobs go? Hey, cool! Now we've got something in common, Uni! Just call us the Flat Friends!
I'm not exactly happy to be a part of this group.
There's lots of just meta humor and just general craziness. Basically, in a nutshell, the games are about the game industry, but they're set in the world of game industry, and 4 goddesses that resemble all the major hardware companies are fighting each other and then have to save the world from R4, which is obviously the R4 hacker chips that people use to bootleg like DS games and such. Basically, the whole thing is a very tongue-in-cheek reference to piracy and the game industry as a whole. They're constantly making fun of themselves, other game companies, hardware people, software people, basically anything related to video games they're poking fun at. And the game itself is not new. It's been out on the PS4 for quite a while, and actually I believe it's already on the Switch over in Japan, but we're getting it in the US in May. So, if you like JRPGs and lots of weird meta humor, picking on anime and video games and classic tropes and the neckbeards that would generally be into those kinds of things, then you should check the game out when it comes out. In the meantime, like I said, you can get it on the PS4, and also it is available on Steam as well as all the other Neptunia games. So, at any rate, you should go check these out. And in what is basically the opposite of new release news, Naughty Dog has announced that The Last of Us 2 is being delayed indefinitely. They recently released an image on their Twitter that states, "The good news is we're nearly done with development of The Last of Us Part 2. We are in the midst of fixing our final bugs. However, even with us finishing the game, we are faced with the reality that due to logistics beyond our control, we couldn't launch The Last of Us Part 2 to our satisfaction. We want to make sure everyone gets to play The Last of Us Part 2 around the same time. Ensuring that we're doing everything possible to preserving the best experience for everyone, this means delaying the game until such a time whereas we can solve these logistical issues." I think I paraphrased a couple of those words, but honestly it was hard to focus because of how many times I had to say The Last of Us Part 2. They needed to write it out every time. I know that's the title, it's just too many words for a title. Anyway, the long and short of it is, the game is postponed. I get why, I'm sure you all get why, everyone understands why, the whole world's on pause right now, but it still kind of sucks. So, to help get over the disappointing news, let's get back to positive things. Amazon is releasing a game called Crucible in June. The game is supposed to be a last man standing sci-fi shooter, and the picture that seems to be circulating a lot with it is very reminiscent of Biomutant. So for that fact alone, I'll probably pick this up just as a way to tide me over until Biomutant actually comes out, because apparently it is in infinite development. Also, this sounds interesting in its own right, but I just mostly wanted to make fun of the fact that Biomutant is apparently never coming out. But in some really interesting news, Rhymecraft, a really good video game music remixing DJ, and Megaran, a English teacher turned nerdcore rapper. Side note, he's also officially sponsored by Capcom, making him the first rapper to be sponsored by a video game company. Kind of like the modern day Run DMC, but nerdier. The two of them have collaborated to release a Final Fantasy VII remix. And to make things even crazier, they debuted it during, I am not kidding, a live DJ set hosted in Animal Crossing and streamed over Twitch. It is a strange world we live in. And if you thought that was strange, buckle up, because for all of you nerds that are still into Magic the Gathering, Hasbro, the now owners of Wizards of the Coast, who own Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, and various other nerdy things, is doing a collaboration between Magic the Gathering. I've said Magic the Gathering too many times. I'm just going to call it Magic from now on. Anyway, they've done a collaboration between Magic and Godzilla, of all things. Now this isn't completely unfounded. They've done previous collaborations with other Hasbro franchises, like Transformers, Nerf, and of course My Little Pony. But this is bigger than any of those, and I don't believe Hasbro owns Godzilla, so this is also the first third-party collaboration they've done. But basically, to help celebrate and promote a new set they have coming up, they are also releasing with it a bunch of promotional cards based on Godzilla and the various monsters that he fights. Mothra, Godzilla, Ghidorah, etc. And honestly, the cards look pretty cool, plus the sheer number that they're doing is actually much bigger than any of the other promotional things they've done before, so I'm kind of excited. It originally comes out on Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the little online multiplayer version of the game they have, but for all you old school people that still like actually playing cards with your friends in person, they have physical versions coming out May 16th. No, they don't. I lied and just checked my little script here, and it's May 15th. If you wait till May 16th, they'll probably all be sold out. But once again, we'll veer back into video game territory. A new game called 9 Years of Shadows is being released on Kickstarter. It's actually being released by a company, Hellbred Studios, out of Mexico, I believe? I might be wrong on that, don't quote me, unless I'm right, and then yes, absolutely quote me, because I know everything about video games. But they have also teamed up with, and I'm gonna get these names wrong, so I'm gonna cheat and just look at my little thing here. Michiru Yamane and Manami, which sounds French. Manami! Oh, that was terrible. Manami Matsumae. And they're from Castlevania and Mega Man, respectively. And they will be doing a lot of the music for this game, and will actually also show up in-game as helpful NPCs, which is just a fun little Easter egg, meta reference kind of thing that they've got going on. And the game itself looks interesting anyway. It's a Metroidvania, which I'm always a fan of, and it's probably going to have this kick-ass soundtrack. I probably shouldn't say the A word, but I already did, and I don't feel like editing it out, so we're just going to roll with it. And it sounds like they might actually be up for putting that soundtrack on vinyl, at least judging on their response to some of the comments they've got on the Kickstarter. And overall, it sounds interesting. So if you like Metroidvanias, and I mean, come on, you should, they're the best, go check it out. I'll link to that Kickstarter down below with the Frosthaven one and whatever else I decide to put in the links. I will note that as of right now, the game is only planned for a digital release, which is disappointing for me, because just like the game I mentioned earlier, I don't really do digital-only releases. It's the same reason I haven't played Cuphead or Cadence of Hyrule yet. I don't do digital. I'm physical, I like collecting things. You can see some games on the shelf back here. Where am I pointing? Yeah, right here. There, those. I want real games. I want something I can hold and touch, and digital games just don't do that for me. But if I can convince them to do physical editions, and I have reached out, I am trying, then I'll certainly be backing this, and either way, you should too. And finally, Skater XL just got a July release date for the PC, Switch, Xbone, and PS4. If you haven't been following the game, then it's similar in style to like Tony Hawk, not the terrible new one, the original ones that were fun to play, but with new physics, actually new controls. Basically, the company that's making it, Easy Day Studios, has decided to redo the control scheme entirely, and you now will use the two thumbsticks to move your character, each controlling one of your feet. Basically, it's Katamari Damacy plus Tony Hawk. And while my initial reaction is, I don't think I want to see the prince riding a skateboard, my second immediate reaction was, what are you talking about? Of course you do, that's amazing. Granted, they've been doing a lot of testing. I'm sure they're finding ways to make these controls work. And at the very least, there's no way it can be worse than the latest Tony Hawk. So I think it's probably worth a try. And if you're one of the people that wasted your money on that horrible, horrible Tony Hawk game, And by the way, I'm one of those people. I actually pre-ordered it so I could review it for Gaming Access Weekly. Link to that down there somewhere too. You owe it to yourself to get your money back and get a real skateboard experience on modern consoles. So go check this out when it comes out. And that's all I have for you. So yeah, go check out those 2 Kickstarters down in the comments. Also, I mentioned Grimecraft earlier, and I've been actually underlining his music. Underlining is the wrong word, but I've been putting his music underlying this video. So if you liked his music at all, or if you just want to support a musician who probably definitely needs the help since the whole coronavirus thing has canceled everyone's live shows, go download some of his music. I'll have links to that down there in the comment place somewhere too. And other than that, I guess that's all I really have. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. Please do, actually, because I could use higher numbers. My numbers are like none. And thanks for watching the video. Keep doing that. Try not to die from this whole virus thing, because views are hard enough to get as it is. Oh yeah, also subscribe to the channel. Can I say that? I don't even know. I'm just rambling now. Follow me on Twitch too if you want to see me ramble online toward people that honestly it is really easy to get access to. I can just tweet directly at whatever artists or game companies or whoever I want. It's crazy. Like, I don't know why they give everyone that level of access. No one needs that. It's inappropriate. But I have it, and I tweet people often for no reason and just badger them into doing things. So yeah, follow me there, follow me here, do all the things, don't die, and I guess that's all. So see you later. I'm looking at the screen, not the lens. That's got to be so off-putting for all of you that I'm looking slightly over your shoulder. Like, I'm just staring at how ridiculous your left ear looks. You really, like, that right there. Just, how do you not take care of that? What are you doing? That, fix it.